Hello everyone, Mr. Polarbearjack here today. Now, for the past few days, I have been very hectic and very obsessed with YouTube popularity or fame or whatever have it be. Perhaps the obsession is not healthy, but the only reason why I say that is because I have other channels that I'm also trying to strive for that YouTube success, if you will. I think for sure the basic hallmark of this channel will just be me picking my brain, trying to figure out things for myself, and just getting my thoughts at any random point in time. But with that being said, the UnMarvaled series has a weird position on this channel, I'm not gonna lie. It's a series where I mostly review characters, and I kind of just take a really weird approach and just try to analyze them. I hope it acts as well done therapy for not only me, but for you guys as well. And the reason why I mention about obsession is that it's kind of what it takes to make this long treasure trove of videos that I create. Trust me, I make a ton of videos, even more than you actually see on this channel. But I think I can relate this to Amy because she's so obsessed with Sonic. Now, even though that's her main obsession, we're going to try and look for deeper psychological things going on with her in the sense of what else she has going on. You know, what actually engages and encourages and drives that obsession to a weird degree. And definitely, I see myself in a lot of the characters that I review. That's why I'm able to talk with, like, if I got experience or whatever, whatnot. Like, I always have this feeling about being Sonic and brave and willing to just take a joke about anything that's serious. I have this feeling where I don't feel adequate, where I'm just like Tails and I want to become stronger or better. And I have this feeling as if I'm Knuckles and I'm just tough and brooding, but I'm also in situations where maybe I'm not being treated the best or whatever have you. So there's a lot of me that I'm actually establishing to the characters, but overall, I'm hoping that I'm able to explain them as well as I can explain myself. And it seems that a good majority of you people actually enjoy the content and actually enjoy the messages that I'm getting across when I do review these characters. But focusing on Amy, she's essentially the Minnie Mouse to Sonic's Mickey Mouse, if you will. Instead of a blue boy hedgehog, she is a pink girl hedgehog. Although, honestly, you couldn't really tell because of her design. Her quills are basically draped around her face. So it makes her look like Knuckles a little bit. In fact, there was a time when I thought that her and Knuckles were kind of related. But that'd be hypocritical of me after what I've said in a Tails video. Amy's always been around, but instead of a female character that I think as a young kid I ever had a crush on, I was honestly always annoyed by Amy, or at least a little indifferent about her existence. She's a little relentless in her passionate explanation for love in the sense of how she's always trying to go after Sonic. But at the same time, I can't blame a girl for trying. Again, she's very persistent, and where many people will take rejection in the face and cower and stuff, Amy doesn't really do that. She literally is like, okay, you're going to reject me. Well, when are you going to come for me? Or when are you going to be open for business? It's not the realistic, healthy method when it comes to actually trying to acquire somebody as a relationship option, but it's Amy's way, I guess. Now, I think about her differently, of course, but honestly, before this actual video, I really didn't like Amy, but it's for very petty reasons, I swear to God. There's a video game called Sonic and the Secret Rings. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that game before, but there's this party mode, and there's a bunch of the characters, like Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, whatever. Anyways, I was playing as Tails at the time, and there's like this thing that you get at the end if you win, but then if you mess up, then you don't get it. Amy stole my actual prize in that game. That's a party thing. It's so petty. But ever since then, when I was 7 playing that thing, I absolutely hated her guts. But again, this was just for petty reasons. I mean, even then, this may mean that she's actually on equal terms of obsession as a rival towards me. Who never knows? But going back into her past, she was introduced in the game Sonic CD. I guess at first her name was Princess Sal, American style, Scratch that. Her name was always Amy. And in the game Sonic CD, she basically acted as someone to save. This was actually in the time of 1993. Surprisingly, it actually predates Sonic 3. But even in that game, Amy was always lovey-dovey for Sonic. And since then, it's always continued in that way. But I remember as a kid, I always wondered why Sonic never reciprocated Amy's love. Because back then, a lot of guys were always bragging about how they always bagged this girl or they got this girl or whatever. Maybe Amy was just too available, who knows. But you'd be surprised on what exactly Sonic doesn't find so attractive in Amy, and that's exactly what we're going to get into.
Officials and athletic coaches report that their track programs are more popular than ever and new records are being set daily. Experts in sports psychology are baffled by the sudden turn of events.
Hi, Amy. What's wrong? All right, where are you hiding, Sonic? You better come out now.
So, as we can see, Amy's a bit, how should I say, aggressive? Listen, I'm coming from a place of understanding at this point.
Nobody can help. Sonic had a date with me and he never showed up.
And I literally ain't got nothing for this pink hedgehog. Plus, even if that was the case, it really would be weird. Remember how I said that Sonic was 15? Well, Amy's apparently 12. Not quite a teenager yet, but this is exactly the reason for why she looks up to Sonic. Sonic's just way older. But this also makes him a lot cooler in her eyes. Now, every character that I've mentioned so far, I always compare them to Sonic. Sonic is the epitome of what it means to be a Sonic character in his world, or at least the best character. I don't mean that Sonic is stronger than any other character, and I'm not saying that you should like Sonic. I'm just saying there's a reason for why the games are called Sonic. But, as I would mention, where Sonic is cool in the face of danger, he has barely any insecurities that you can see. Amy is the exact opposite. She's hot-tempered, she's quick to emotion, and when it comes to getting a date with Sonic, she is extremely transparent in her upset nature with Sonic not always showing up. But, I mean, these are kind of almost seen as negative factors about her personality, yet they can actually be spun as positives. Because guarantee you, the second that Sonic actually needs help, she is the first one in the line of battle to actually save him. Although she may look sweet, she is actually very scary. I mean, she's an absolute positive on the battlefield, but when it comes into normal just existing around her, she is something quite to tolerate. Now, this has changed a bit since Sonic Boom came into existence. But a lot of the characters do point at her inadequacies of being an actual woman. You know, refined, elegant, and well-mannered. But I mean, at this point, she's just a real person. This is actually how girls are in reality. The perfect idea of a feminine woman is just that, an idea. True, there are some positives of actually living up to the ideals, but sometimes some people just have certain ways of how their personality just works, and you kind of just have to deal with what it is. Or like most rational men, you just get the heck up out of there. But it seems like Sonic has come around since of lately. I do just find it entertaining on how much Amy is trying to respect Sonic and Knuckles, but at the same time, Sonic and Knuckles are just dudes, you know? I mean, heck, the only one that she really scolds is Tails if he ever makes a mistake. And maybe sometimes Knuckles, although hardly scolding, but definitely pointing out, Knuckles, you're not supposed to do it that way. But when it comes to her personality in regards to how it relates to Sonic, no matter how lame Sonic may sound or be within the confinements of the show, we come to find out the kind of Amy that does spend a lot of time with Sonic and even gets close enough to the point where she can probably get a date, even if she didn't try. And at every turn, she is really hot-tempered, but when it comes to Sonic, she really does chill it out. And I think there's an underlying thing where she really wants to like Sonic, so if he does anything that's not attractive, she kind of just tolerates it and moves on. And probably thinks to herself, well, this is what I was dreaming for this whole time, so I might as well just enjoy it for how long it lasts. So it's actually kind of interesting to see the persistence of her character in the past and how much she was actually kind of annoying, but now she's gotten what she wants, to some extent, a relationship with Sonic. Even if Sonic wouldn't acknowledge it, that's kind of basically what it is, buddy. She's definitely more calm and more peaceful than she was before. I mean, either way, I do find her entertaining, but also too, she would be a pretty annoying person to be around, I'm not gonna lie. I've had girlfriends in the past, yes, real life, IRL, Mr. Polar Bear Jack's relationships. I've had girlfriends in the past that were heavily sensitive, very quick to emotion, and just always tried to hold me up to a moral standard that just honestly was absurd. And heck, you do not want to bring up politics or anything of the sort with your girlfriend. Especially if she is anything like Amy. Strong position they take, I don't. I'm kind of like, hey, it is what it is. I'm just trying to exist. I'm just trying to have an enjoying time, I'm just trying to be peaceful. Just trying to look at the scenery and.
Amy, wait! Let him go!
Yeah, as far as superpowers go, she is very normal in every single way. She may be able to run fast, but it's never considerably sure if she can run at the same speed as Sonic, or at least she can keep up with the main trio. It's kind of always changing. She also had a weird ability to turn invisible. It never really made sense. And this was in Sonic 06. Of course, in 2006. Like, oh my gosh, she has a double jump ability? Like, yeah, only in the video games. But there's two specific powers I think I will bring light to. One, this is not considerably a power, more of a weapon, but she has her Pico Pico hammer. It's one of the most iconic things about her. And yeah, she can swing it really hard. Although this was always just a weapon that she just had. I don't know what the obsession was with girls having just a large ass weapon on standby. I think it would have been funnier if she had a giant pepper spray, but honestly that's probably just triggering to most people. But her second ability is just essentially her passion. I'm not sure if this is a main joke within the story, but for some reason, anytime Amy actually gets triggered or gets angry, sometimes even characters that are considerably powerful find themselves becoming the victim of Amy's transgressions. I mean, this was always a popular trope, in media or film. Basically, where the woman has the last say. This is going to sound extremely sexist, but reality is sexist. Women, on a probability, on a higher average, they're just weaker than men in every single way. But occasionally, you do get a minority of women that are just absolutely beast. And especially enough, Amy is one of those women. In fact, I'm convinced to say that Amy is probably stronger than Sonic in every single way. Faster than Sonic in every single way. I mean, how else do you explain the very fact of her persistence in trying to bag this hedgehog? I rest my case.
Now, I've designed a food delivery system that bypasses the mouth and inserts the food directly into the customer's stomachs.
Okay, Amy, you've totally lost sight of why you're doing this.
I'm doing this to destroy Dave the intern and his unerring instinct for what the public wants. I don't care what they want. I know what they need. Good service with a warm, friendly smile. Now tell them to get in here.
Again, Amy is extremely persistent. And her mind is like a ticking clock. It just keeps rolling. Out of any of the Sonic characters, she is the most ambitious. Again, none of the other Sonic characters exactly have a persistent goal. Let alone, it's neither even then that they're chasing something. Neither is the films or games trying to make it clear that they are trying to achieve it. Sonic doesn't exactly have a goal. In fact, his goal is just to exist. Tails wants to be stronger, but he already is by Sonic's side, and even if Tails wants to be better for the sake of him taking on his own burdens, there's never a chance in hell that he's going to take that over being around Sonic, his best brother. Knuckles kind of already has what he wants. He's always protecting the Master Emerald, and yeah, maybe if it gets broken again, he has to go out and search for it. But besides, with Amy's love for Sonic, it's always a thing that she is chasing. Nah, never mind. That's actually the root of her motivation. It's what pushes her to action. I mean, everyone's extremely simple. But dangerously enough, if that passion isn't pushed towards Sonic, it could oddly have disastrous consequences. In truth, the purpose of Amy is essentially to be the biggest fangirl for Sonic. But reading behind the lines, this is also a case where she is trying to find something to love, something to find that's grander than her, and simply chase after it. And trust me, we're getting somewhere with this. Amy was never treated as if she was delusional, but there is definitely a sight of her that she may be over-glamorizing the relationship that she could potentially have with Sonic. Like, back in the past, she never really thought about how it would realistically go. The idea in her head was just more tantalizing than the actual experience of being with Sonic. Now, it's not to say that now Amy doesn't look at Sonic as if Sonic is the ultimate dream boy or anything, and still has a lot of that love that she still had before. But she comes to realize that that emotional high that she always had before getting with Sonic finds its weird ways of fickling away the more she gets to know Sonic. And essentially, it's up to her to try and relight the fire. Sometimes she kind of wishes that Sonic did. And heck, I've experienced this a lot of times with other girls. And some girls have actually experienced this with me. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when you get together, it is a normal existence. You are living a normal life. There's nothing beyond this reality that'll put you on heaven. I mean, this even goes for ultimate goals such as trying to achieve something. The idea in itself is exciting because you're going to achieve it, but when you actually have it, now it's all about maintaining it, and that's less fun. Basically, the purpose of Amy was to show how having this kind of mindset, it's alright, but don't get out of hand with it. But either way, as Amy has matured over the series, it at least shows a new way of representing her purpose. She still has that love for Sonic, but she's also still able to manage those emotions and live with Sonic.
The person you were looking for was Sonic. Were you planning to kill him?
He's responsible for destroying my world!
That's crazy! Sonic would never do that.
But it's true! In the near future, his actions will cause the devastation of my world! So I must!
No! I don't believe it. Even if that was true. If I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I would choose Sonic.
You fucking bitch. Amy's ultimate dream is essentially to just have a family with Sonic, marry Sonic, create 2 kids called Sonia and Manic. I mean, yeah, that would be weird. But that was her dream back then, and to some degree still is, but it would be another thing of trying to make sure that she understands the full ramifications of what exactly she's dreaming about. Because unfortunately, when everything changes and no longer is your dream a far distance away, and it's actually here, you'd be surprised about how mundane it actually is. But in all honesty, there is no way that I can imagine that Amy really wants these things. In all honesty, I believe that Amy just loves the pursuit of Sonic. While it can be upsetting at most times, for her and the audience, the overwhelming emotions that she ends up feeling before the achievement of whatever her goal is, whether to marry Sonic or whatever, is probably the exact state in which she wants to exist. There is always this culmination when it comes to a character's dream, and me just elaborating that basically what they dream about is what they already have. And what determines whether they will maintain it is dependent on their emotional state. In all honesty, this is how I think a person should live. Now, this hedonic treadmill should focus your attention on actually becoming better as an individual, but as human beings, we need to keep our time occupied. Because if you get everything at the very moment that you want it, what's the purpose of living?
I'll help you jump higher with my Pico Pico hammer. Only with the Y button, you can count on me.
I've never really had any importance on the voices of Amy, although I will say the Sonic X version of Amy's voice is so iconic. I mean, in all honesty, it's an absolutely sweetheart voice. I really wish she still kept it, but we do have a new voice actress for her. Ever since Sonic Generations, she then evolved into this very, very Minnie Mouse type of voice. I wasn't a fan of it, but as the years have gone on, she's toned down more, and she sounds more like a normal girl. Odd how a majority of these characters end up becoming a lot much better over time. It seems like that's the inevitable fate with a lot of characters, and probably with a lot of people in real life as well. They're hyperfixated, they're a little weird, they're a little clumsy, they sound awful when they're younger, but as they get older, they start to become well adjusted with reality and more ripe as the years go on. I'm also glad to see that Amy is allowed to actually have full-blown conversations with Sonic nowadays, and their dynamic is honestly absolutely hilarious and wholesome at the same time.
Just follow me.
unstoppable!